Hi everyone, this is our sixth lecture. It's going to be on sexism. So we're going to start this lecture by defining a few terms, and then we're going to talk about what exactly feminism is, because it's a word with a lot of emotion to it and a lot of bad definitions associated with it. So, first, before we can talk about sexism, we have to talk about what sex is. Sex, when used by sociologists, is used to describe our physical condition of being male, female, or intersex. And if you don't know what intersex is, an intersex person is an individual who is either biologically or genetically neither male nor female. And being intersexed is caused by a range of biological conditions. And that is not to be confused with being transgender. We'll talk more about intersex conditions, being transgender, and many other things relating to the LGBT community in following lectures. And most people, though, when we talk about sex, are talking about being either male or female. Gender, then, is the way we behave, male or female. Gender is our behavior. And there are many ways to be either male or female. For example, most adult lesbians identify as being women, just like their heterosexual counterparts. So even though a lesbian woman and a heterosexual woman may behave differently, they may have different preferences, they still feel female, they just do it differently. Same thing would go for guys. One kind of guy could really dig cheap beer and football. Another kind of guy could really dig the opera and a nice wine, but they're doing being masculine differently. And scholars of gender often refer to this as the gender spectrum, this range from extreme masculinity to extreme femininity. And it should be noted in this understanding that, that guy that loves football can also like opera, right? They can, bounce around on that range of masculine to feminine behaviors. Sexism, then, is the belief that someone is inferior based on their sex. And sexism against men does exist, but it is less common and it is not as embedded in society as sexism against women is. There are many structures in our society built and put up against women. Those really don't exist in a substantial way for men. Heterosexism, then, is a belief that heterosexuals are morally or physically superior to non-heterosexuals, and heterosexism may be directed toward heterosexuals if said person is believed to be non-heterosexual. So if someone is straight but they're perceived to be gay and they're discriminated against because someone thinks that they're gay, then that is heterosexism against a heterosexual. Obviously, most heterosexism occurs against people who are non-heterosexual. We will talk again more about that when we talk about gender and sexuality in following lectures. So let's talk about what exactly feminism is. Feminism is the belief in the social, political, and economic equality of the sexes, and it is also used to refer to the social movements organized around that belief. Feminism is simply the belief men and women should be treated equally. That's it. That's all it is. It is not the belief that women should be treated better than men. In the United States, the history of the women's movement can be divided into three historic waves. The women's movement is just another synonym for feminism. First wave feminism was the earliest period of feminist activism, and it included the period from the mid-19th century until American women won the right to vote in 1920. The campaign was organized around getting women the right to vote. There were other issues associated with first wave feminism, but the biggest thing was getting women the right to vote, and they accomplished that in 1920. Second wave feminism was the period of feminist activity during the 1960s and 70s. This period was most closely associated with issues of women's equal access to employment and education. There was a portion of that was also associated with abortion rights, but most of the thrust of second wave feminism, most of second wave feminism that impacts people today was about getting women the same rights to education and employment as men. You can't be barred from working someplace or from going to a school just because you're a woman, or from participating in sports via Title IX just because you're a woman. Yeah, that was the major accomplishment of second wave feminism. Now, after second wave feminism occurred, we had this thing called male liberationism. This was a movement that originated in the 1970s to discuss challenges of masculinity. Now, it should be noted that the movement called male liberationism, because second wave feminism was sometimes called female liberationism, but that movement split up quite quickly because it split up into two movements: the men's rights movement and the pro-feminist men's movement. The men's rights movement feel that feminism has a part to play in creating disadvantages for men. And that is tied to the modern online men's rights movement. However, if you really want to see where that modern men's rights movement has its basis, look at YouTube clips from the 1970s about guys talking about men's rights. They're talking about things like, oh, women should stay in the home and be cooking my dinner, and who's going to be taking care of these kids? I'm not going to be taking care of these kids. Like, really overly macho, nasty, sexist stuff. That's what the men's rights movement was based on, and quite frankly is still based on. However, there was another men's movement called the pro-feminist men's movement, also in the 1970s. And the pro-feminist men's movement is a group that feels that sexism harms both men and women, and that they want to fundamentally change society's ideas about gender. And that is a piece that, yeah, second wave feminism missed a lot of. When people say, oh, I don't like feminism, or I don't need feminism, they're often talking about second wave feminism and their perceptions of second wave feminism, because it was slightly broken. But second wave feminism took this pro-feminist men's movement and created third wave feminism in the 1990s and early 2000s. The third wave of feminism was the most recent period of feminist activity and focuses on issues of diversity and the variety of identities that women can possess. And that's important. So third wave feminism, the first part of it is it wants to understand what it means to be a black woman. It wants to understand what it means to be a white woman, a Latino woman, an older woman, all of these things, and how those relate to each other, and maybe what are those differences between those different types of women, and how can we make the world better for all of them. The second piece of the women's rights movement, that of third wave feminism, that a lot of people don't understand, that I think a lot of people that think they don't like feminism because feminists don't like men, it's because they don't understand the second part of third wave feminism. Third wave feminism is all about men and women. Both men and women have the right to be masculine or feminine as they choose. So women under third wave feminism have the right, the choice to dress however they want, right? They have the right and the choice to act however they want, you know, obviously within the parameters of the law, but to act in society how they want. And so do men. Men can dress how they want. They can act how they want. And they shouldn't be held back by masculine or feminine norms, right? People should be able to dress and act how they want to. They should be able to go drinking in the morning. No, not in the morning, probably not. They should be able to go work on... A woman should be able to go work on a construction site in the morning maybe have some fancy cheese for lunch, and then go to a nightclub at night and put on some high heels if she chooses to, if that's what makes her feel good, right? That is what third wave feminism is about. Now, I didn't really understand third wave feminism until my eldest daughter went through her first Dora the Explorer phase, right? I always envisioned Dora the Explorer, and this sounds silly, but it's really applicable. I always envisioned Dora the Explorer as this active kid that was swinging on a rope, and, wearing tennis shoes and running around, having adventures, right? And that is part of feminism. But this ballerina Dora, my daughter got for her birthday one year, and I said to my brother, who was a gender studies major, I said, "Look what they did to Dora. They neutered Dora. They took her power away." And my brother said, "That's third wave feminism." He said, "Dora has the right to swing on a rope, and she should swing on a rope, but Dora is also allowed to be a ballerina too, right? Dora can do both of those things. She's allowed to do both of those things." Second wave feminism will say that it is somehow disempowering for Dora to wear a dress, but third wave feminism says that women should be able to wear dresses when they choose to wear dresses, and should be allowed to swing on ropes when they choose to swing on ropes. That's the third wave feminist difference. And I honestly think that a lot of people that have problems with feminism just don't fully understand third wave feminism. And we're going to be talking about some of these things in our materials and in our quiz for this week. So I look forward to those conversations, and I'll talk to you soon.